In this video, we delve into the tragic and politically charged tale of the five men accused of being Anne Boleyn's lovers: Mark Smeaton, Henry Norris, Sir Francis Weston, William Brereton, and George Boleyn. Join us as we uncover the intrigue, betrayal, and injustice that sealed their fates.
The five men accused of being Anne Boleyn's lovers, as well as their roles in her downfall and the accusations leveled against them.
Before you forget, subscribe and like and comment.
Mark Smeaton was a court musician of humble origins, serving in the royal court as a talented singer and instrumentalist. He did not have the noble lineage of the other accused men, which made him especially vulnerable. Smeaton was the first to be arrested and interrogated. Under intense pressure, he allegedly confessed to having a sexual relationship with Anne Boleyn, although it is widely believed this confession was extracted under torture or coercion. His confession was pivotal in providing a basis for the accusations against Anne, trial and execution. As a commoner, Smeaton was denied a trial by his peers and faced a harsher fate. He was sentenced to death by hanging, drawing, and quartering, though it is believed that, out of mercy, this was commuted to beheading, which was carried out on May 17, 1536. Smeaton's testimony was crucial in sealing Anne's fate, despite its dubious origins. Henry Norris was a prominent member of King Henry VIII's Privy Chamber and a close friend of the king. He had significant influence at court and had long been a trusted companion of Henry. Norris was accused of committing adultery with Anne, based on little more than circumstantial evidence and court gossip. At one point, he was reportedly overheard in conversation with Anne in a way that could be construed as flirtatious. Despite maintaining his innocence and loyalty to the king, Norris was implicated in a conspiracy of infidelity. Norris refused to confess, even when offered a pardon in exchange for admitting guilt, which strongly suggests he was innocent. He was convicted of high treason and executed on May 17, 1536. His downfall is often seen as a tragic consequence of political intrigue at Henry's court. Sir Francis Weston was a young and charismatic member of the king's Privy Chamber. He was known for his wit, charm, and proximity to King Henry. Weston was accused of adultery with Anne Boleyn largely due to his frequent presence in court and association with her. It appears there was no solid evidence against him, and historians believe he was swept up in the scandal to provide more weight to the accusations against Anne. Trial and execution. Weston, like the others, was tried and found guilty of treason. He left behind a wife and young son, and his arrest shocked many at court. He was executed on May 17, 1536. Weston's inclusion in the charges seems politically motivated, as he had shown no public behavior indicating any romantic involvement with Anne. William Brereton was a courtier with considerable regional influence as a member of the king's Privy Chamber. He had significant holdings and was involved in the administration of justice in the Welsh Marches. Brereton's involvement in the case against Anne Boleyn seems to have been motivated by political expediency rather than any real evidence of adultery. Historians believe Thomas Cromwell targeted Brereton as a way to eliminate a powerful and potentially troublesome figure from court. Trial and execution. Brereton maintained his innocence and, like the others, was tried for treason. He was executed on May 17, 1536. His case is often cited as a stark example of the ruthlessness of Tudor court politics, where accusations of treason could be wielded as a weapon to eliminate political threat.
Before you forget, subscribe and like and comment.
All of these accusations, considered baseless by most modern historians, served the political goal of annulling Henry VIII's marriage to Anne and clearing the way for him to marry Jane Seymour. Anne herself was tried separately, facing charges of adultery, incest, and treason. She was convicted and executed on May 19, 1536, 2 days after the execution of the five men. This episode remains one of the most infamous miscarriages of justice in English history, highlighting the perilous nature of Tudor court politics and the lengths to which Henry VIII and his ministers would go to achieve their objectives. Did she have a lover or lovers before knowing King Henry VIII? Anne Boleyn's romantic history prior to her relationship with King Henry VIII has been the subject of much speculation and debate among historians, but there is limited concrete evidence to substantiate claims of serious romantic entanglements. Here is a closer look at the two figures with whom Anne is most often linked before she became involved with Henry VIII. Henry Percy, 6th Earl of Northumberland, was a young nobleman and heir to the powerful house of Percy. He was serving as a page in Cardinal Wolsey's household around 1523 when he met Anne Boleyn, who was then serving as a lady-in-waiting to Queen Catherine of Aragon. Contemporary accounts suggest that Percy and Anne fell in love and became romantically involved. They may have even considered themselves informally betrothed. However, when news of their relationship reached Cardinal Wolsey and King Henry VIII, it was promptly forbidden. Wolsey, reportedly acting on the orders of King Henry, who likely had an eye on Anne by this point, ended their potential engagement. Percy was instead married to Lady Mary Talbot, a match that proved unhappy. Percy later testified during Anne's trial in 1536, denying any prior relationship or contract with her that could have invalidated her marriage to Henry VIII. His denial may have been politically motivated, as any admission would have had serious consequences. The affair, whether real or exaggerated, is often seen as a casualty of court politics and Henry's developing interest in Anne.
Before you forget, subscribe and like and comment.
Thomas Wyatt was a poet and diplomat known for introducing the sonnet form into English literature. He was a courtier in Henry VIII's court and a childhood acquaintance of Anne Boleyn. Wyatt was married to Elizabeth Brooke, but separated due to her alleged infidelity. Wyatt is believed to have harbored romantic feelings for Anne Boleyn, and his poems are often interpreted as reflecting this attraction. In particular, his poem Whoso List to Hunt is frequently cited as an allegorical reference to his infatuation with Anne, symbolizing her as a deer unattainable because she belonged to the king. Despite his apparent affection, there is no solid evidence to suggest that Anne reciprocated his feelings in a meaningful or romantic way. Most historians believe that any interaction between them was likely platonic or never progressed beyond flirtation. Wyatt was arrested and imprisoned in the Tower of London during the investigation into Anne's alleged lovers, but was eventually released without charge. His survival may have been due to his status and connections, or simply because the evidence against him was particularly flimsy. Beyond Percy and Wyatt, there is no credible historical evidence that Anne had any other significant romantic relationships before Henry VIII. The Tudor court was a place of gossip and intrigue, and Anne's later enemies may have sought to exaggerate or invent past relationships to tarnish her reputation. Anne was known for her charm, wit, and intelligence, which attracted considerable attention, but her movements were closely monitored given her role as a court lady, limiting opportunities for illicit relationships.
Historical debate of the extent of Anne's relationships with Percy and Wyatt remains contested among historians, with interpretations ranging from true love to courtly flirtation.
Before you forget, subscribe and like and comment.
Anne's ascent to prominence through her relationship with King Henry eclipsed any previous associations, and the accusations of infidelity and promiscuity made against her during her downfall were almost certainly politically motivated fabrications. Thus, while she had relationships that hinted at potential romance, there is no definitive evidence of lovers before her marriage to Henry VIII. She spent time and enjoyed in the French court during her youth, but there is little concrete evidence to support the idea that she had lovers there. Her experiences in France undoubtedly shaped her education, refinement, and political awareness, which played a role in her later life at the English court. Here is a closer look at her time in France and the historical context surrounding any rumored romantic relationships, and Boleyn's time at the French court. Anne Boleyn was sent to the Netherlands around 1513 to serve in the household of Archduchess Margaret of Austria. After about a year, she moved to France, where she joined the retinue of Mary Tudor, King Henry VIII's sister, who was briefly married to King Louis XII of France. When Louis died soon afterward, and remained in France and served Queen Claude, the wife of King Francis I, from 1515 to 1521. While at the French court, Anne was exposed to Renaissance culture, fashion, literature, music, and sophisticated courtly manners. She became fluent in French, developed strong diplomatic skills, and acquired the poise and wit that later made her stand out at the English court. Alleged romances in France. King Francis I of France. One of the more scandalous rumors that emerged long after Anne's death was the suggestion that she may have had a relationship with King Francis I. However, there is no credible evidence to support this claim. In fact, King Francis himself was known to speak dismissively of and during her later marriage to Henry VIII, possibly for political reasons or to undermine Henry's ambitions. There were also vague and unsubstantiated claims of an engaging in affairs with French courtiers during her time at court. These rumors likely stemmed from her later notoriety and political enemies seeking to tarnish her reputation and status as a lady-in-waiting, and the propriety expected of her would have made illicit romantic liaisons difficult and highly risky. Courtly love and culture. It is essential to consider the context of courtly love, which was prevalent in France at the time. This often involved flirtation, poetic exchanges, and demonstrations of admiration within a highly regulated framework. Such interactions could be misconstrued as more serious entanglements, particularly by later detractors. Assessment by historians, which agree that there is no credible evidence that Anne Boleyn had any lovers during her time in France. The claims largely appear to be inventions or exaggerations crafted during her later downfall when she faced charges of adultery and treason. Anne's upbringing in France gave her a unique sophistication and political acumen, but any romantic rumors from that period are likely rooted in courtly gossip or propaganda intended to discredit her after her rise to power. While Anne Boleyn's years in France were pivotal to her development, there is no substantiated evidence that she had any romantic or sexual relationships during her time at the French court. Most of what is known about her experience points to a young woman gaining knowledge, sophistication, and cultural exposure that would later captivate King Henry VIII and influence English court life.
Thank you for watching this video on Anne Boleyn's accused lovers. Don't forget to subscribe for more captivating history content. Leave a comment with your thoughts and suggestions for future videos. We love hearing from you. Until next time, thank you for your support and engagement.